Today on Stock Charts in Focus, we're setting up your stock charts workflow, showing you how to save chart styles to your stock charts account. All of the settings that go into your custom charts, indicators, overlays, period, type, size, colors, all the good stuff. We're going to show you how to save that as a chart style. You can save a whole bunch of chart styles to your account, really optimize your workflow on the site. Make sure that you don't have to come and set everything up manually every time you come to stock charts. So we're going to show you how to do that, show you how I personally set up my chart styles in my account, and we're going to do it in both platforms, SharpCharts and ACP, our new interactive charting platform. You know the drill. It's all new. It's all here. It's Stock Charts in Focus. All right, my friends, well, we are back with this week's episode of Stock Charts in Focus. Thank you for joining me. Of course, my name is Grayson Roze. I'm the Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com, and it's a fun one to be here with you. I'm looking forward to this show. One of my favorite things about stock charts is showing people how to set up their chart styles. Really, when someone asks me what makes stock charts fly, the first thing that comes to mind is chart styles. I see a lot of people that are still coming to stock charts. They're setting up their charts from scratch every single time, choosing their indicators, choosing their overlays, picking what chart type they want, and they're having to flip back and forth between all of these settings every time they want to come back to a chart. But we have a great way in stock charts, both in SharpCharts and ACP, our new platform. We have a great way to set up what we call chart styles, which are effectively chart templates. They make it really easy to set up a chart, sort of a template for a chart, and come back to that in the future. That's going to include everything that you can put into a chart. It includes indicators, overlays, the color scheme of the chart, the type, the period, really any setting that you can put into a chart, we can save that for you as a chart style. Now, you can save a whole bunch of different chart styles in both platforms, SharpCharts and ACP. So you don't have to save just one thing. We do have a concept of a default chart style, which we're going to get into in both platforms. But you can really save a ton of these things for different types of securities, different time frames, different indicator sets that you want to view at different times as you're running through your market and stock analysis. So we're going to show you how all of that works. It really is one of the most important things to sort of optimize your stock charts workflow. So this is going to be a fun one. I always love to do this, and especially because today we're actually going to take a look at my personal setup, how I've set up my chart styles in both platforms. Again, SharpCharts and ACP. So this should be a fun one. Let's get right to it. Here we are on the members dashboard. What I'm going to do is start with SharpCharts. You can see up in the top bar of the top of the screen what we call our create a chart bar. I've selected ACP because I've starred that actually as my default option. So every time I visit stock charts on my laptop, I'm going to have this ACP entry in the menu starred or set there by default for me. But you can choose any of these that you want. Again, we touched on this last week, but we're going to get into this in full in another episode. But I'm going to go ahead and select SharpChart. Remember, you can always click this menu and click through any of our different charting tools, including some of the other ones like perf charts and seasonality, those kinds of things. For right now, though, I'm going to go ahead and select SharpChart, and I'm going to pull up Microsoft. Let's go with a nice easy name there. So what you can see here, we're on what we call the SharpCharts workbench. And now what might look a little different for me versus for you is when I enter a symbol, again, I entered Microsoft up at the top of the page there. And when I pull up my Microsoft chart, this is a chart style. This is what we call my default chart style in SharpCharts. Now you can see I've got my custom indicators, my moving averages, and different sort of relative strength lines here that I like to watch on my charts in SharpCharts. These are all of the things that matter to me. And so I've gone ahead and saved this as a chart style. And so every time I come to SharpCharts, it's really easy to get back to this. I don't have to go fumbling with all of the settings on the workbench. I can just click a single button, or in this case, just load a chart because I've actually set this one as my default. And all of these things are going to come up for me. So I don't have to go fumbling through any settings. It's a lot easier to get to the charts that I want to see. So there's a way to save a whole bunch of chart styles, and I'm going to show you how I've specifically organized them in my account. But for starters, I want to walk you through a little line on the workbench, our chart styles line. Now, this is how you interact, most people interact with chart styles. So let's say you've set up a chart, you've added your indicators, you've changed all the custom settings that you want to see, and now you want to save that as a chart template. You want to come back to it in the future. Well, what you're going to do is go down to this chart styles row, and you got a couple of different options. Now, you do have a save as default option. So again, the default chart style is going to be what we pull up sort of when you first come to the workbench. When you first pull up a Sharp chart, that's going to be your default. It's also going to be used when you save charts, when you run scan results, and you save those results into a chart list, any of those kinds of things. We're always going to sort of use your default as your go-to. So if you want to create a chart style and save it as your default, you can always do that with this little button right here, save as default. But let's say I wanted to add this as a new chart style. All I have to do is click add new right there, give that a name, click add, and there we go. Now I've set up a new chart style. I can come back to that in the future. So let's say I wanted to name this my great new style. I'm going to hit add, and there we go. Now I've created a new chart style with all of these custom indicator settings. And anytime I change anything, I can always go and overwrite that. So let's say I wanted to make this chart a little bit wider. Maybe I want to make it a 1600 pixel width. Now it's a big, nice wide chart. You can see I got a bigger chart on the screen there. So if I wanted to go in and update that chart style and sort of overwrite the one that I saved previously, all I have to do is come here, hit replace, select my great chart style. If I can find it in the list, there it is, my great new style. Select that from the list, hit replace, and there we go. Now I've updated that chart style in my account. And when I come back to it in the future, all of those settings are going to be saved again to that style. Now, a couple other things here. If you want to delete a chart style for any reason, you can do that right there. You can also hit edit properties to adjust the name. That's a quick, easy way to get to some settings there for your chart styles. Now, you're probably wondering what this little button menu is. So we're going to touch on that in just a sec. But before we do, I want to note you do have this menu here, which is how you can access all of your different saved chart styles. You can see I've got a ton of them in here in SharpCharts, but you can access all of your different saved chart styles in here with this little menu down sort of at the bottom below your SharpCharts. You can click that, and if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to come over here to my sector ETF style, you can see now I got something that looks similar but a little bit different. Maybe I want to pull up if I was looking at a mutual fund, I might want to pull up my mutual fund style. There you go, I got something totally different now. So again, chart styles make it really easy to flip between different chart templates, different collections of indicators and overlays and color schemes and settings and types and all that good stuff that you want to save and come back to later. And you can do that just with this menu at the bottom. Now, one of the keys, though, is that there's another chart styles menu. A lot of people gloss over this one, they forget about it, but it's actually the most powerful chart styles menu on the SharpCharts workbench. So if you look over here on the left side, right to the left of my screen, I've got these little buttons, and you'll see that each one has a label, each one has a specific name. And there are a couple other little icons here. There's a little plus icon and a little arrow icon. So I'm going to open this. That little arrow icon actually opens a menu that pops out from the side. And this makes it really easy to, again, view all of your different chart styles. So that same menu that we were just looking at the bottom of the screen, all of those same chart styles are actually reflected here. I've got them all, and you get a little preview, super small, but you do get a little preview of kind of what that chart looks like. Now, the key is that there's this little breaker, right? Buttons. So everything above here is going to be what we call our chart style buttons, our style buttons. Those are always going to appear on the left side of your screen right next to your SharpCharts. And you've got a couple of different ways to get things up there. You only have a set number of buttons. You only have a few to choose from. But you can always drag things up and down to bring them up to be a button or sort of move things around, all that type of stuff. So for example, you just saw me move one up. Now I'm going to sort of replace it. I'm going to bring my intraday chart style back up here. But the way that these work, they're really, really handy little buttons that allow you to access some of your most common chart styles a little more quickly without having to, again, sort of fumble through a menu. So you can always, open that menu and click a chart style, or go to the bottom of the screen and open the menu and click a chart style. But for the chart styles that you're using really frequently, your dailies, your weeklies, your monthlies, those kinds of things, when you're flipping back through some of your most common chart styles, that's where these style buttons can be really, really handy. So if I want to get to a 1-year equity view, a 1-year daily chart here, I've got a style button for that. I've got another one that's for the same chart, but a 2-year view. You can see now this is a little bit longer term view of Microsoft. I've got a weekly chart button, so now we're looking at a weekly chart of Microsoft. Again, all of these are saved to these little buttons, and so when I set these up, all I have to do is come and click on the button that corresponds to whatever type of chart I'm looking at. Let's say I was looking at an ETF like SPY. Well, this sort of standard style that I look at has some stock specific information, so you'll see that these panels don't actually load. So I want to have a specific style that's just for ETFs. So I can come over here and I've got an ETF, daily chart ETF style button saved right there. So every time I'm looking at an ETF, all I have to do is come over to the left side of the screen, click that, and I'm off to the races. I'm looking at a chart style that's perfectly set up for ETFs. So it makes it really, really easy to get to the styles that make sense for you. And again, I've set up one for weekly ETF views. I've set one up for mutual funds like I was showing earlier. I've set one up for indexes. So if I was looking at something like SPX, the actual S&P 500 index, this is my daily index view. So I want to use this when I'm looking at an index and looking at that on a daily view. I've also got one for a weekly view. So here's my weekly index view. So again, all of the different kind of custom chart styles that I like to go to frequently, the most common ones I've actually set up as chart style buttons over here on the left side of the screen. Now, the key that I like to tell people about, everyone does it differently, but the way that I've liked to organize mine is sort of a combination of security type and time frame. So again, I've popped this open so that it's really easy to see. I've got stock specific styles, I call those equity styles, and I've got those for daily charts and weekly charts. I also have a performance view, which is an interesting one when I'm looking at sort of how something is performed on a percentage basis over time. If I'm looking at an ETF, I want to have specific styles that match ETF. So I've got a daily ETF style and a weekly ETF style. If I'm looking at a mutual fund, I want to have a specific style for that. Again, I mentioned my index style. So I've got daily and weekly and monthly index styles. And then when I'm really kind of zeroing in on a trade, something that I want to take on, I want to look at the really short-term price action on that. I've got 2 intraday styles that I can pull up. So for instance, I've got a 30-day intraday view here that I like to look at when I'm actually placing a trade. Helps me see sort of money flow and what's happening in a stock on a shorter term basis. So again, all of these style buttons here on the left side of the screen just make it really, really easy to access all of my most common chart styles. It's a nice sort of stock charts hack here, really a time saver, but really a workflow boost. That's kind of what I see this as, is a big workflow boost. So if you're using SharpCharts, again, remember that you can save all of your custom settings to chart styles. You don't have to come back to those every single time and set them up from scratch. You can just save them, come back to them really quickly in one click. Now, we're going to hop over to ACP because we have a very similar concept over there. We have the same concept. It's chart styles in ACP. You can save your ACP settings, your ACP styles as chart styles in ACP. So I'm going to show you actually 2 different ways to get to ACP from SharpCharts. One is to go up to the top of the screen, and just like any other tool, you can select ACP from that menu, and you could type in Microsoft here, hit enter, and you're going to go off to ACP. We're going to launch ACP with that ticker symbol. But if you're on the SharpCharts workbench, and for some reason you wanted to jump from a Sharp chart over to ACP, or really to any of our other charting tools, there's actually a little trick here at the bottom of the screen. We've got a row of links to other charting tools. So this is a great way to get to symbol summary, which we'll pull up super, super quick. We're looking at an SPX chart. Let's get back to our Microsoft chart here. I'm going to pull up Microsoft, and we're going to look at that. Well, there we go. We got our intraday view here, the 30-day view there. But we can jump down to things like symbol summary. So this is our sort of our research tool, brings in after hours data and earnings dates and all those kinds of things. Profiles. This is a company profile, corporate profile, which is pretty cool. But you can jump over to tools like this from the bottom of the SharpCharts workbench. So again, look for this little row. There's a link in here though to ACP. So if you're charting something like Microsoft here, we got our Microsoft chart up in SharpCharts, And let's say we wanted to jump right over to ACP, we can click this and it's going to take us right into the new advanced charting platform, ACP, with Microsoft preloaded in there. So here we are now in StockCharts ACP. Again, if you're not familiar with ACP, this is our brand new interactive full screen advanced charting platform. We just rolled this out this year. It's been a big hit and it just continues to evolve really week after week after week. We've been really flying on this, adding new features, new tools, new visualizations every week. Multi-chart layouts have just arrived, which is pretty cool. You actually have this ability now to create multi-chart layouts with up to 12 charts on the screen, which is pretty wild. So fancy stuff going on in ACP. If you haven't explored the platform, there's a lot to it. And again, it's really dynamic. You can zoom in and out, which is very fun. You can actually move indicators up and around your charts. It's really easy to reposition things. So a very sort of dynamic view of the markets, a highly interactive tool here that we've created with ACP. But the key, what we're talking about today, again, is chart styles. We have the same concept in ACP. It works very similarly to what you have in SharpCharts. So if you're a SharpCharts user and you're coming over to ACP, the concept still stands. You're going to be very familiar with what we can do here in ACP. So look for, on the left side of the screen, the little paintbrush icon. The paintbrush icon represents chart styles. You'll see us use that actually around the rest of the site. But you can see there we've got a little label on it when you hover over it. But when you click the paintbrush icon, you load a panel on the left side of the screen that's got all of your chart styles in it. Now, a couple of interesting notes here. I'm going to collapse my styles for just a sec because we're going to come back to that. Those are all my custom styles. But we also have a lot of sort of out-of-the-box useful styles for you to choose from. We've got some fun ones here under sample styles. So for instance, electric blue is a pretty visual chart, a really interesting one. The StockCharts Classic style that a lot of people are familiar with over on SharpCharts, we've brought that in here with this StockCharts Classic style. But we've also added different categories for strategies, time frames, trading styles, and then of course a lot of chart styles that are based on our experts, the commentators that are around the site. So for instance, under strategies, we've got things like relative strength, trend analysis, volume, momentum, money flow, all those good sort of strategies that you hear a lot of people talk about. We've got chart styles that are built specifically to use those types of strategies, help you get sort of up and running with those types of strategies. So a lot of different things to play with here, and it's pretty fun. A lot of these can be actually great starting places for you to go and create your own custom chart styles. If you want to sort of start with something like our volume analysis chart style, it's a pretty fun one to start with, and then you can sort of build your custom indicators on top of that. Pick and choose, what matters to you, what you want to see, what else you want to add to this chart style. Again, we got similar things for time frames, daily, weekly, monthly, intraday views. Trading styles is a fun one. We've got our day trading one up here, for instance, a pretty interesting visual there with the dark theme. And then, of course, all of our experts have contributed different chart styles to ACP. So it's really fun to go and sort of model yourself after different folks who are contributing to StockCharts, who you're watching on StockCharts TV, all of those kinds of things. We've got all of those different styles in here for you to choose from. And it's really easy. All you got to do is click a name and you've got a chart style that sort of matches what that expert likes to use on StockCharts and in ACP. So again, easy to sort of model yourself after some of those experts, but also another great starting place for creating your own. So in ACP, definitely go play around with some of these sort of out-of-the-box sample styles and starter styles that we have for you. But what we're talking about here today is custom chart styles. So I'm going to open this menu back up. This is the Your Styles menu. And you'll see that mine is pretty filled out. Again, I'm actively using ACP, so I've got all of my custom saved chart styles here in the platform for us to play around with today. So what it looks like when you build this out is a long list. And again, the same sort of concept. All you have to do to get to any of these is click the name and you're going to easily flip between them. Now you'll see sort of how I've organized mine. I'll dive into that a little bit more in just a sec. But what I want to show you is how to save these chart styles. So let's say I came down here. I'm going to go actually pull up that Dan Russo chart because I really like it. It's a pretty cool one. Let's say I liked this Dan Russo chart, but I want to add a price relative line to that. So I want to come over here. I'm going to type price performance. I'm in the chart settings menu here, and I'm sort of filtering the add indicator menu. So you can actually search for specific indicators. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to search for price. I'm going to find price performance. And let's say I want to add a price performance line that is whatever symbol I've got on the screen. So I'd use $ symbol. That's a little stock charts trick. You can use $ symbol for us to automatically load in whatever sort of the root symbol on the chart is. And I'm going to compare that to, actually I like to compare it to VTI, which is the Vanguard Total Index. So now what I'm doing is creating sort of a price relative line. You'll see that at the bottom of the screen already. I'm going to change the colors to just be blue the whole time. And I'm going to give this, let's give this a solid thick line. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to close that back down. You'll see I've got my price relative line at the bottom of the screen. And I want to actually position that at the top because I like to have that at the very top of my chart. So now all I have to do is actually drag that up to the top of the screen. Now I've got my price relative line here. So what I've done is really kind of modify Dan's chart style. I've made it my own. I've gone in here, I've clicked the Dan Russo chart style, added some flair on my from myself, some solo flair, and then all I have to do to save that is go down here and look for this little green button at the bottom that says Save Chart Style. So I want to now actually save this to my account. I'm going to click Save Chart Style, and all I have to do is enter a name. Again, we'll use My Great Style, and I hit Save. Now, before I do that, I want to show you one other option. Again, if you want to create something from scratch, all you have to do is hit that Save button. You notice this says Save as New. You type in a name and you hit Save. But if I wanted to actually overwrite an existing style, that's the other option that I have here in this little dialog that pops up. So I can click Update Existing, and then I get a list of all of my custom saved styles. So if I wanted to overwrite anything in my account, I could easily do that from here. I could select something, click Save, and it's going to automatically overwrite that save style. So for our purposes now, I'm going to save this as a new one. Actually, I'm going to do modified Dan's style. Modified Dan style. Let's do that. Save that as a chart style. And now you'll see that I've got this additional chart style here in my list. So anytime that I want to get back to this chart, if I flip over to something else, I'm moving around and then I say, no, I want to see, let's say I pull up maybe a different symbol. I got Apple up now and I'm looking at it here. And then I say, ooh, I wonder what this looks like with that Dan style that I modified. All I have to do, come back to this chart styles menu, give that a click, and there we go. I'm right back to it. So it's really easy to save these chart styles in ACP. Again, come back to them later. You can also save charts with them. So when you save a chart to one of your chart lists, it's automatically going to save all of these styles, this chart style, all the settings, the indicators, overlays, all that good stuff. It's going to actually save it to your chart list. We're going to save chart lists for another episode. I want to do a big deep dive on how to use chart lists, both in SharpCharts and in ACP. That's going to be maybe even a 2-episode series. Chart lists are a big feature on the site. So we're going to get into that on another episode. But for today, remember that you can save these chart styles into your account. They'll always be here for you on any device. It really is saved to your account. So it's a great way to optimize your stock charts workflow, whether you're using SharpCharts or ACP. Now, again, you'll see one quick note on sort of how I've personally ordered mine. A little bit different because we don't have that concept of style buttons. Everything in the panel is just so easy to access that we haven't brought in that concept of style buttons. But we've made everything super easy to access here. Now, this list is sorted alphabetically. So one little trick that I like to do is use a starring system. You'll see that I've got this little starring system up top. So some of the styles that are sort of my primary ones, basically the ACP equivalents of what I would use, with style buttons and sharp charts, I've actually starred those to bring them right to the top of this list. So it's really easy to move those up here, give them a star or a number. You could number this whole list if you wanted. We're evaluating some custom ordering, so stay tuned on that. But for now, I'm using this little starring system to get my sort of favorite ones up top. But I've done something really similar. Again, I've got a daily style, which is sort of the one that's my go-to. And actually, this is set as my default, which I'll touch on in just a second. But I've got my daily style. I've got an enhanced version of my daily style that's got a few more things. It brings in some price relative lines, does a little bit more. I've also got a weekly style. I've got a monthly style. Here's my weekly style. Here's my monthly style. And again, I've got intraday style. So when I'm sort of getting down to actually placing a trade, it makes it really easy to jump over to one of these intraday styles. Here's a 10-minute chart, for instance. It makes it really easy to get over to those short-term views. So I'm saving styles for all the different time frames that I want to look at, and also for different security types. You'll notice at the bottom, I've got a mutual fund style. I've got index styles. And then what I've been playing around with in ACP, which has been really fun, is additional styles to get to specific views that I want to see. So for instance, I have a very, very stripped out basic price style. Now you'll notice that this doesn't have any indicators on it. It's just price and a couple of moving averages. So occasionally, I want to go from this sort of complete indicator enhanced view down to something that's just really, really streamlined, really, really simplified. I want to do the same thing with weekly charts. So I've got a stripped out weekly style. So I save those. I've got one that's got just that stripped out daily style plus a price relative line. You'll notice that looks a little similar here with Apple and VTI. So similar things there. I've got an anchored VWAP style, which is a fun one, a great indicator that we've just added. This makes it really easy to get over to that indicator. A Bollinger Band style, tons and tons of different things. Different templates, again, that I want to come back to in the future. Things that I want to use again and sort of apply to different symbols, different securities as I'm charting them. Chart styles really make it easy to do that. So hopefully this gives you a sense of kind of how I've played around organizing my chart styles, both in SharpCharts and in ACP. I wanted to give you a good view here of kind of what you can do, the power of this. Again, I really see this as a huge workflow boost, really going to streamline your experience on StockCharts, make it much, much faster to get back to the charts that matter to you. So that is our show for today. I know we've thrown a lot at you. It's really been a fire hose episode here, but chart styles really are one of the most important features of StockCharts. When you become a member, that's one of the biggest things that you get access to is the ability to save your custom charts to your account, come back to those in the future. So by the way, we do have our holiday special on right now. So if you're a member, you can renew, get 3 free months on top of the subscription, the extension that you add to your account. But if you're a free user and you're looking at what we did today thinking, wow, chart styles make a lot of sense. I want to save my charts without having to come back and set them up every single time. Sign up for a StockCharts account this month. We've got this holiday special, and you can find it on the homepage, StockCharts.com, or go to StockCharts.com/special to sign up for that. But you're going to get 3 free months when you sign up. It's a great deal, one of our best prices of the year. So really a great time to take advantage of this discounted pricing. Sign up, get access to chart styles, chart lists, all the good features, scanning, everything that really makes StockCharts fly. Plus, you can create more advanced charts. You can do multi-chart layouts in ACP, all these good things that StockCharts can do. You can do that too when you sign up and become a member. So check that out today. Make sure you catch that sale while it's still around. Again, look for it on the homepage while it's still here. We're going to put some links, if you're watching this on YouTube, in the description down below to some of the help docs for chart styles and for ACP, for SharpCharts, for both of those platforms. So look for that. That's going to help you get set up. Make sure that you got some stuff to read if you want to go dig a little bit deeper on chart styles, and make sure that you're getting set up with everything that you can do in your account. So again, I know it's been a long episode, a fire hose, but thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully you've got something out of this. And that's really our mission here with StockCharts In Focus, to help you get the most value out of StockCharts that you possibly can. My name is Grayson Roze, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com. Thank you again for joining me. We'll see you back here for another episode next week. We do this every Friday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So I'll see you very soon for another StockCharts In Focus. Chart on, my friends. Hey, Grayson Roze here with StockCharts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.